Okay, Friday morning, another very quick recap of the market. So that was nice to see the reversal really confirm itself. Markets went down pretty hard. I mean, the Nasdaq was down 2.5%. Then we had some anomalies like the Dow that actually went up. Didn't understand. Everyone was running away from the party, but it kept going. So we'll take a look at that very quickly. S&P, I mean, we are pretty much at support. 450-ish is support. You see this horizontal line. That was a little mini breakout zone. So we're there. It wouldn't surprise me if there was more downside. If there is more downside, we have support around 444. That was the prior breakout. And also you have the ascending line coming up. So there should be strong support if we continue to accelerate on the downside for the S&P. The Nasdaq, very similar chart pattern, although it's almost at that support, which makes sense because it was down 2.5%, whereas the SPY was down only about half. So that went straight through its recent breakout zone. And we have stronger support down here. So maybe the S&P will go a bit lower because the Nasdaq might as well finish that move lower to around 37, let's say 370 actually, just in case it overshoots the ascending, should act as support. So, a little bit more downside maybe in the markets. And then we have temporary support. It's really the ascending and the horizontal coming in, coinciding that. The Dow is quite funny. It just kept going up. I think it's because it was such a late move up that it thought, no, I promised to go to the party. I'm going to go despite how many people I see on the way running away from the party. And you can see it's quite impressive, but I still think it's going to be pretty hard to take out this 35,500-ish zone with everyone running away in the different markets. So, impressive, but it's just too little, too late, if I can say that. And it's only up 0.5%. So obviously these earnings, it's like Tesla, Netflix, just really weighing heavy on the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq went up so much, so it does make sense in that sense that the Nasdaq comes down a lot more than the others. But 2.5%, whilst the others are not even down 1%, and the Dow being up is pretty, I don't want to say strange, but it's rare. The Russell, this one was relatively, well, the banks were strong, we'll look at that, but the Russell, down 0.5%. I did say, look, also near resistance, and there we go. If we do go lower, then this horizontal breakout for me is the only obvious support. Maybe move it up a little bit, but let's see how much more the Nasdaq goes down. It doesn't have too much more downside before it hits temporary support, but we've moved up a lot in these markets, so if we start to see more poor earnings or different earnings, different sectors, I don't know. I just, the bias is to the downside. Just remember how much we've moved up and how fragile the economy is. Chasing up here for temporary support swing trades, not my style, not what I'm doing. So yeah, that's the downside I see for the Russell. Let's see what goes on today. Okay, the banks, they are still strong, a bit like the Dow Jones. They've had a late rise, so they don't want to finish the party yet. They got there late, they want to continue. Now, the XLF, this is pretty impressive for me. I don't know anyone else is looking at these technicals, but look at this downside. I thought 35 would be resistance. And it actually had a very strong close. Look at that close at high of day, despite what's going on elsewhere. So that's interesting for me. That's stronger than I thought. And I know it's not even up 1%, but still on a day where everything else is red, almost everything else, it's closing at high of day. And for me, technically, this is quite strong. If we do break out, next zone would be this zone, the horizontal at 37. Also happens to be a nice number, so I'll just leave that there for myself. Let's see if it gets there. If we look at the smaller region, obviously they've been destroyed more, so they're nowhere near as strong on the, well, they haven't caught up as much, let's say, because it'd have to be at 50 almost to match the XLF, even though they have different looking charts. And also close near high of day, right? It's a red day for it, but still, look at that hammer, very strong. The banks are very strong, given what's happening elsewhere in the markets. I mean, they usually follow the Russell, and the Russell's down 1%, so KRE, same thing. Close a high of day hammer. It just wants to go higher. It wants to go higher. Let's see if it's allowed to because of what happens in the other markets. So I'm going to respect the banks. Very strong close. So it looks like they want to start running towards 52 on the KRE, and the KB, the equivalent would be, let's say, 42 for now. So maybe even 44. Let's see. But the banks are strong. That I will admit, despite the red close. So let's look at interest rates very quickly. The 1 year being the special. Forget these tails, it happens sometimes. For me, The 1 year just, yeah, like I said, sideways and eventually up. Despite what might happen in the other yields, the 1 year is a bit special. It always wants to just basically go up staircase. And I said, despite this breach of this ascending, I didn't believe that it would go low. So far that seems to be true. Let's see if it goes up, or maybe it just wants to go sideways more and then up. But the 1 year, just the usual staircase higher sort of attitude. The 2 year, look at this support. Now you finally see how it acted well. Now, Thursday was an update for yields, also for the dollar. We'll look at that. They seem to be moving together recently, and down together. I feel like it's a bit too early to go up to test the highs, but I do think it will test the highs again. So maybe we just have a bit more downside. It could go a little lower, but I think it will make a higher low here. I don't think we'll flush this zone. So, and this counts for all the yields. Maybe we go like this and then like that, or maybe sideways and then like that. But I do think we're going to go back up. So that seems to be holding out for now. But it was an update yesterday. So far this morning, just a small retracement, but that's absolutely irrelevant. So nice strong bounce yesterday. You can see, I even said we could even draw a descending if we were really cheeky about it, and that would have been a strong breakout of the descending. That's the 5 year, 10 year, same thing. I didn't do that descending because it's unnecessary, but that would have been a nice play. 30 years a bit weaker, so that might stay along the bottom a bit longer, and the push up might be weaker. That's typical. But basically the 2 year, the 5 year, and the 10 year, and what really matters is the 2 and the 10. Sort of strong bounce yesterday. Very strong bounce with the dollar. 10 years also quite impressive. So keep an eye on that. I think we're just going to go sideways, but then up. And it'll be interesting to see what the dollar does when we go up. And it'll be interesting to see what happens to the dollar in the near term, because yields will have to follow that, I think. Now, the dollar. I said we would bounce around here. We've bounced. I said we get to 100.8/101. It's exactly what we did. I mean, we touched 101 and we closed at 100.8. So that's almost scary. But, that's why did I say that? It's because of 100.8 being below here. And also 100.8 is a strange number. So the nearest number is 101. You saw 101 being touched many times. So that's why I said that. So now that we've done all that, what happens now? Well, obviously we could go a bit higher. If we do, 102 is resistance. I don't think we're going to get there. I think we're just going to go sideways and roll over. So maybe we go a little higher. We touch 101 again. But I think we close at 100.8 or lower. And basically we just go lower. No need to over-explain it. I think we'll just go like that. It wouldn't even take that much time. I always draw these, but this is like a 5-6 day move. It's probably more likely to go like, without the wiggle, just back down again. Then hover at the lows of 99 point, whatever this is, 99.7-ish, and then flush and down we go lower. And then everyone remembers, oh yeah, the dollar is bearish. Why was I buying into this? So it's just a little retrace of a flush. Back down we go. Yields, will it follow? And if they do follow, do they start? This is the question I'm not sure of myself, so I'll just have no comment. When, not if, the dollar rolls back over and tests its lows, do yields go with it and then flush with the dollar? Maybe. So, I have this bias that I think that yields will always sort of go back up until the Fed cuts or really admits it's going to cut. So I'm not sure if yields will go. I mean, will yields go up if the dollar rolls over? No. So do they just go sideways and hold the support? That's the part that I'm not too sure of, actually. But I'm a lot more sure that the dollar is going to go lower. Okay, and that's what will affect commodities. The dollar will affect commodities more than yields. Turning to commodities, copper. Look at that. Nice day, right? I mean, sorry, we're talking about Thursday, of course, but Friday is also so far so good. But look, Thursday was a green day despite the dollar being up, so copper was strong. And to me, that suggests that copper will go to 3.95 and breach, because I think the dollar will roll over. So if copper was strong, with the dollar being strong, if the dollar rolls over, we should go up here and breach. And so far, higher lows, and I'm not going to say higher highs, but, it lingered up here higher. And this is also another higher low. So for me, copper's going to go higher. Natural gas, this is exactly what I hoped and thought would happen. So, looking weak here, we wanted fake flushes. That's what happened. Goodbye weak hands. Strong moves here for 1-2 days. And look at this breakout of the descending. and I wanted to close just above 2.65. I got much better than what I hoped. It even went higher than the last two candles here. The close is better. So for me, we're going to 2.9 to 3 and then squeezing all the way up. It's really that simple. We're going to go like this, sideways for one day, like that. Something like that. I would love that. So natural gas, beautiful. Oil is a bit like copper in the fact that it had a green day, despite the dollar being up. So oil looks very strong for me, compared to the gold and silver, for example, just from yesterday's action. And so far today, we're good. It looks like, and this is what I thought, we'd have a little retrace, a breakout, back up, and up we go to 80. I'm not going to spend long because I have to make quick videos with these files, and it's that simple. Oil up here, maybe sideways one day, break out up to 80. Uranium, this went down with the markets. Not the biggest drop, but still, it didn't go up. So it's sometimes hard for me to tell whether it follows the dollar or the markets. I just feel like it follows the markets more sometimes. But this is nothing too bearish, it's just consolidating sideways. It just takes one candle where it closes above 22.6, let's say, and that's it. We're going to 24. So this is certainly not bearish stuff. It's just sideways. Let's just see how the market reacts. If the market keeps going down, does uranium go down with it, or does uranium say no, I'm done going sideways, I want to go up regardless of the market? So sideways for uranium, but overall bullish. Remember to zoom out. It broke out the descending, it back tested a bit too much maybe, and now it's ready to go sideways up. So uranium still bullish, no doubt about that. Gold and silver, they had look, it's still within the tram lines. They had a down day. Now we had a big move, relatively big move up. The dollar finally bounced, so you'd expect the dollar to go down. That's what it did. Not the best close, but it's an acceptable close. We're just sideways within the lower range of this tram line. What do I think is going to happen? I think we'll go back up, and it was a big washout, especially in the miners. But early on, and this is when I made the video yesterday, it was piercing up, but then look, the dollar bounced. And we went back down to here. So I think it's very healthy stuff. And now it's going to go sideways up. That's what I think is going to happen. I'm not going to cover any downside trend lines because the only one for me was 1970. And that's what we're pretty much stuck within. So that's fine. Silver. And they weren't down too much. I was like minus not even 1% for gold, I think. So silver, I think it was, how much was it? Minus 1.5%. Open to close. Absolutely fine. Acceptable. Look at this, look where we are. We're hovering up here. Yes, the close was a low of day, but so far we're holding the next day. It's not like we're continuing lower. I think we're just going to go, because this happens to be the range that silver decided to trade at, much higher than I thought. So just sideways and up. And things will look extremely bullish over here. So for me, there's not much to discuss gold and silver. It's just it hit the lower range of its local support zone, because the dollar hit its high of 100.8/101, which is where I thought it was going, and which is where I think we're going to top out. So therefore, since the dollar's going to reverse, we go back up. We spend one day hovering maybe at the highs, the local highs of gold and silver, and then we breach higher. That's really what I think is going to happen. So let's see. Now the miners, they really puked a bit more. You can see the weakness. The candle here closed at low of day, a bit like gold and silver, within the local range, support and resistance, because obviously you can see this is active as support. So let's just respect that. This I can delete, doesn't even count. But it's it's quite a big move down relative to gold and silver. It's weaker, so that suggests people don't believe in the move. Maybe fine. It was quite a big washout. Now there was also Newmont earnings, which were poor. Down I think in the end 6%, which is quite bad. So that really weighed down on the GDX and the others. So you could say the earnings of Newmont played a role which didn't affect, let's say, the metals. So, but I think that should be dismissed, to be honest, those earnings. I think I didn't look into it. I'm not really someone who looks too much into all the news. But I think it's irrelevant. I think we're going to bounce back up. Once gold and silver goes all the way back up, these earnings are irrelevant. The margins, the difference that the miners are going to be making should negate this move down. But, otherwise, it's a poor close. But I think like gold and silver, if we have a reversal in the dollar, we will move straight back up and we'll go higher. Let's just see if there are any other earnings in key stocks that may weigh down or maybe weigh up. Maybe Barrett comes out with good stuff, or whatever, any other miner just comes out with some good stuff. Senior miner, of course, would make a bigger difference than the junior. GDXJ, just same sort of price action, close at low of day, but a bit higher, right? So yeah, let's see if the dollar reverses, gold and silver goes back up, and if the miners just follow, inch by inch. So, but I think we're just gonna go back up. There you go. Bitcoin, finally. I shouldn't really cover Bitcoin when I can't upload files this well. But look, very weak stuff. Look at this close yesterday. Very poor stuff. I think we're just going to go lower. I'm in some groups, in some Bitcoin groups, that they're still very bullish. I don't really see why. Maybe I'm more neutral and therefore I can see the picture clearer. But for me, it's just going to go lower. Bounce here, and then let's see, do we go back up or do we just go lower? We'll see. But I really do think we're going to go back down. Anyway, hope that was useful. Sorry about these videos. They have to be short, fast, and even poor quality on upload. Otherwise, I don't do anything. So better this than nothing, I hope.